first off, thank you very much for doing this. We really appreciate it. Sherri, for folks not yet familiar with you, do you want to share just a brief introduction to yourself?
Absolutely. I'm Sherri Johnson, and I am CEO and founder of Sherri Johnson Coaching and Consulting and Speaking, an international real estate training, coaching, and consulting company for the last 8 years. Started in 2017. I was formerly I was the executive and regional VP for Howard Hanna Real Estate in Cleveland, Ohio. I had about 800 agents. And grew that from 500 agents to 800 net, and excitingly grew it from 500 million to $2 billion in about 4 years, using the strategies that I use for coaching. And what's fun is that before that, I managed a couple of offices, and before that, because I have 29 years in the business, Brian, hard to believe, I was a top producing agent at the company for 10 years, and I've had an unbelievable passion for helping and coaching agents. My goal when I was in my first year of real estate, I sold 5 houses my first month. And I literally 4 of them came from one house, which is how the open house strategy that I developed came about. 4 of them came from my first listing that I sold at my first open house, sold them a house. Like I sold the house myself. I literally sold those people's house. That's 3. And then I picked up a buyer and converted them in the same month. So immediately I was like, this is how you leverage listings. This is the name of the game in real estate. You sell one house, you list a house, and you multiply that and sell multiple houses off of it. Somewhat of a lost art today because people went through the 2021, 22 market. And there is a way to still maximize the open house. So, I have about 29-year track record of being a managing broker in Cleveland, Ohio. And I started and grew up in a very successful independent and family-owned business, Smythe Kramer Company, then bought by Howard Hanna Real Estate. I ended my brokerage career and started Sherri Johnson Coaching as a single mom with 2 kids I'm financially responsible for. Jumped off the cliff, and we do over $1 million in sales plus in coaching. And I joined EXP because it's the absolute greatest model on the planet. And I believe wholeheartedly that this is the future of real estate. I'm so excited to be here. It's like, I was excited when I started my real estate business. I was excited when I had 800 agents and we crushed numbers and got to $2 billion in sales. And I was excited when I started my coaching company. And this is the most exciting thing I've done in 29 years is join EXP and really share this model with everybody. So this has been an amazing year, and it's just getting started. So that's it pretty much. I have 2 kids. They're 18 and 21, both getting their real estate licenses on their own. Very excited about that.
Light at the end of the tunnel for you, huh?
It's sad. It's weird, but it's good. I mean, they're fabulous kids, and I couldn't be more proud. They inspire me every single day. It's fantastic. Wherever your kids are at that age, they're all great ages. It just keeps getting better. So yes, I'm very excited about that. So, but I really believe that, the open house strategy, I was the queen of open houses, and I built not only my entire business on open houses for sale by owners and expireds, but I believe in my coaching program, we have wild success stories of agents just this week converted with the strategy that I use, converted 7 new leads. And I said, are they all going to sell a house? And he said, yes. And I said, well, that's 14 transactions. Brian, when we added it up, it was a $465,000 sale he was sitting at, home he was sitting at. It was $6.5 million of potential business, $190,000 of GCI. And this guy was 5'9". Yeah. So he was beside himself by doing one open house. So to me, the open house is the GOAT. It's the greatest of all time lead generation strategies. It's free. People come to us, right? And it can be and should be the most profitable and most productive 2 hours of an agent's week if they sit at the right house. So most people are just doing open houses sort of haphazardly without a plan, certainly without a real strategy. and they're just there to get buyers. And we're going to talk about how they can turn that today into a listing machine.
The idea of going through all of the effort to do whatever promotions you do around your open house and not putting those people into some sort of working system, knowing that what you just said is true.
Right.
Most people are, unless they're lonely individuals, and that does happen sometimes, let's be honest, but most people are not going to come to an open house because they're bored. We've got Netflix, we've got Hulu, we've got kids, we've got everything else in our worlds that can keep us entertained, right? That's not why they're there. They have a need. The question is when. And just because it's not immediate, okay, are you planning on going out of business in 3 weeks? Because if not, then you should have some sort of system to throw them in. The other thing that I heard you say too is being smart about not just how frequently you do them. And it's a math equation. It really is. What's your goals? And then what's your conversion rates from open houses to active clients? There's the equation, figure out the math, and that's how many open houses you should do. But you should do open houses as a discipline. However frequently, if it's 2 a weekend, 1 a weekend, 5 a week, like Joe Turco used to do, that sort of thing is all up to you and your goals. But being consistent with it allows you to stay in practice, because this is a lead pillar. It's not something you do if you don't have a lead. It's a lead pillar you work consistently. So I'm curious, you talked about finding the right geography, and part of that's your farm and picking the right farm and things like that. Anything else that we should consider when we're picking the right open house?
So actually, if you want to throw up the slide deck for a minute, I do have a slide about this. Thank you. The first thing that when you look at strategically doing an open house, and we say, like, why open houses? I'm going to say this again. It is the GOAT. It's the greatest of all time lead generator. You are open for business, just like a retail store. I get invited to trunk shows for jewelry, balloons. The more signs you put out to drive traffic, you should put 15 signs out. This is going to drive traffic to your open house. You should post it. We can. You can invite the neighbors. You can do preliminary open house an hour or two before for just the neighbors, right? I want to meet the neighbors. I want you to meet the neighbors, because where there is one for sale sign, 2 to 3 more signs are going to pop up in the next 2 to 12 months. And they can and will have your name on them if you get to know the neighbors. Like, it's not a coincidence. People look back at a house they just sold and they're like, oh, that's crazy. There are more signs popped up. Well, yeah, because the power of persuasion is that they said, oh, honey, we should sell our house, right? But they weren't quite ready. They still got somebody in high school. They have to clean the house. It starts the ball rolling. So every neighbor is a good lead. So the open house itself has to be on purpose, and it needs to be, you're looking at it from every lead is a good lead. And I think that what happens, Brian, is it takes, 0 seconds for people to get brainwashed by the naysayers in the office who say, oh, that doesn't work, or, oh, that didn't work. Don't do that, honey. Don't do open houses because those don't work. Well, I've sold a lot of houses from an open house. I've had agents I coach sell tons of houses from the open house. I've also known, more so than any, that we've picked up hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars of sales, not just the sale of the house, the price, but like the commission dollars. So you really want to choose wisely. And we mentioned already that you have to be at the right house. If you sit at the wrong house for a whole summer, like I did one year, it was the worst. It was the best bad example I could teach myself. I made no money. No one came to this open house, and I said, I'm never doing that again. But you are open for business, and you just really have to choose the right house. And I want a house, like sometimes we have a house that never sells, but we got all the spin-off business from that house, right? The house didn't sell, but you could look at that house and say, my gosh, I got 4 deals off of that. And I mentioned, the CRS instructor once said, like, fish where the 50-pound salmon are. And I wish I could remember who it was. It was so long ago. But he said, if you want to catch the 50-pound salmon, you have to be in the 50-pound salmon water. And so if you want to give yourself a raise right now and increase your average sale price. Start sitting open houses in a much higher price point. It will materialize. I mentioned this, the 75% number. It is not okay. Like, that is atrocious, frankly. And I think what happens is when you add value and you take the Homebuyer Guide from EXP and you customize it, and it's available on Canva, and it's awesome, and there are many different versions of it, and you add your own material in there, and you're extremely highly radically differentiating value that only you do, right? This exclusive Homebuyer Guide is now sitting out. I give it to everyone who comes in. That's a prop that will help you convert this lead into a client. And the real goal here is to know how to talk to people. And I'm going to give you 4 scripts that do that will get you an appointment, because everyone's like, well, that's great. How do I get the appointment? The opportunities aren't lost. They go to someone else as a real hit to the side. I'm sorry, but have you ever lost a listing or a buyer because you didn't follow up with them and they didn't seem serious because you thought most people weren't serious? And so when you see it in the MLS or you see the sign in the yard, it's kind of like, how did that happen? I thought they weren't serious. And that's not fun. You can convert these people right at the open house. I had an agent, Brian, we did it as a calling event. And she said, I can't believe you're making me make these calls. And I said, Rosemary, get a glass of wine or whatever you're drinking and, make your calls or don't make them. Like, whatever. Right. And 30 minutes later, she came running up to my front office and she said, to the lobby, and she said, I am so excited. I said, what happened? And she said, I just got a listing appointment. And I said, that's awesome. And she told me where it was. And I said, oh, that's like 400. And she said, yeah, it is. And I said, where did it come from? And this is what she said. She said, you're going to be mad at me. And I said, no, I'm not. Where did it come from? And she said, well, it came from an open house lead from 2 weeks ago. And the guy was mad at me. That he hadn't heard from me yet. And I was like, I said, well, you could have gotten that appointment the day you met him. And she said, I know, your whole script is in my head. So I think what we have to do is, I did a call the other day and somebody was like, well, I have a really great system that follows up with people after the open house. And I stopped the agent and I said to her, what if there was a way that you walked out of the open house with 3 or 4 appointments for the week? Is that better than having a follow-up system? And she said, yes. Is that possible? I said, of course it is. So the way you have to do that really is to just realize that when people come in, you meet them. If you look at body language as 55% of communication, right? Our body language, their body language. Are we engaging, smiling, eye contact? They're like, when you shake someone's hand, Brian, at the front door, right? They're going like this. They're backing up. We're coming towards them. They back into the door. And it's awkward and it's weird. And so what usually happens is we don't pay attention to the fact that I can't convert the lead at the front door. I need to let these people come in and get to know me better. And 38% is tone of voice and cadence of how we speak, which means, like, add that up. That's 93% is body language and tone of voice. And I haven't even said a word yet. So in the communication area, 7%, invite them in, shake their hand. And this is the strategy that guy got 7 appointments. And it goes like this, because people don't know how to ask for people's names. And if they, when you shake someone's hand, and I thought after COVID, we never shake a hand again. And here we are shaking hands again, thank God. But when we shake hands, if you don't stop shaking, like if I shake someone's hand, and this is a true story, I shook this woman's hand and I said, hi, I'm Sherri Johnson. And she said, hi. And that was it, right? And so as an agent, we have to say, and you are, right? And she said, really snarkily, very snarky, she said, Kathy. And I said, oh, Kathy, I didn't get your last name. And she said, because I didn't give it to you. And I said, no, you didn't actually, but what is your last name? And so she said, McDonald. And I said, great, Kathy, McDonald's, come on in. Let me show you the house. So we get to the sign in, right? And this is the part where most people are like, oh, the sign-in sheet. Like, how am I going to get there? Not even giving their first name. How am I going to get their entire info? So I say use words that work, like persuasive words that actually work are words like, Kathy, obviously I'm going to need your information. You're in someone else's house. I don't like for security reasons because, when we say security, we think of red sirens, and that doesn't make people feel good. So right out of the gate, I watch body language and I say, I'm going to need you to sign in. I like to sign in because I know I can read my handwriting and I can also put it into my laptop. If you're not using an iPad or a laptop, I suggest you start doing that. It's really easy. It goes right into your dashboard of your CRM. It's fabulous. So here's what happens. If I notice that their body language is weird about typing into the iPad, or if they're handwriting, I just say, don't worry, I'm not going to call you. I don't call people who don't want to be called. I don't like when people do that to me. Right? And right away, it's like, takes the guard down. And they're like, good, you're normal. This is great. Now, the first thing people say to me is, well, how do you get an appointment then? And I say, because in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to add so much value, so much amazing value that they're going to want me to come over. And if I can't add the value throughout the tour, showing the house and sprinkling some leading questions, then I don't call the people, or I ask their permission, may I follow up with you? But typically, I will take that person on a tour like I did with Kathy McDonald, and I say, really great questions, like how long have you lived in your house? And, I could tell they don't like the house we're in. It's not working out. And we get back into the kitchen. And by the way, when you ask yes or no questions, ask them on purpose. How long have you lived in your home? Will you be selling it or keeping it? Like, no one ever keeps their house. And they say, oh, no, we're going to sell it. And I said, great. So you'll be selling your home. Yes. Okay, good. And I say, store that for when we get back downstairs. And so by the time we get back downstairs, I have now an opener to say, Kathy, you mentioned that you're going to be selling your home. I just took down your search parameters. I would love to, and these are the ways that you add value. There are 4 actually. And, the way that you add value, there are 5 scripts, and one of them is to have this home buyer guide. But the ways to add value are, 1, you mentioned that you were going to be selling your home, right? So the first one is, I can save you time and money. I know you said you're going to be selling not for another 6 months, but actually you need me now because I can save you time and money on the home improvement list or the repairs you think you might need to make. You've lived in your house for 11 years. You probably don't know what buyers like today. And I do this every day and I know what buyers like. So that's slate floor in the back hall. I'm going to tell you today's buyers love slate, and we can leave that floor alone and use that money somewhere else in the house for a faster sale, or even better, keep that money in your pocket. So I save you time and money. And Brian, who doesn't want to save time and money on the home buyer, on the home repair list rather, when they don't know what they're doing? So I say it right up front. I actually add more value to help you before you call a contractor, before you make the home improvement list. You really need me. I know we're not listing your house for 6 months, but I can get a lot of this done on the front end and I can save you a lot of time and money. The second reason that I want to come and see your house, Kathy, is that I just took down your search parameters and it really adds value for me to see my client's current home. And what I mean by that is all the things you love about your house, the things you don't like, the things you can't live without, your room dimensions, the furniture size, the colors, and again, those things that you love, so that when I'm in your next home, out looking at houses for you and out, I know you're not ready for a while, but when I find a house, I can call you, Kathy, and say, hey, this has that thing in the basement that you need, or the laundry room, or the bathroom that you really want in the owner's suite bathroom that you will love. When can we come and see this house? And usually people are like, no one's ever come and looked at my house. That's brilliant. And then I say the third reason I want to come and see your house is that, Kathy, between now and the time that we put your house on the market and actually put a sign in your yard, because I'm getting this listing, right? Between now and the time that we actually put a sign in your yard, I may and potentially will, because I have a lot of buyers in this price point already, have a buyer that your home might work perfectly for. And by me coming and seeing it this week, I will have already seen your house, and I'll know in 3 months when I have a buyer, or 2 months even, that this works for this particular buyer. Now, obviously, again, that word obviously, I will need to find you a replacement house and time everything. And for the right price and terms, wouldn't it be great to have your home sold with that event, right? And they usually always say yes. And I say, great. When they nod to all 3 of those, that is the time to tie it down, everybody. Please tie this down with an appointment. they're ready, right? They're like, yeah, that sounds great. And you say, wonderful. What's better for you, Thursday at 5 or Saturday at 10? Because I'm coming, right? It's not about like, Brian, when you say to somebody, when can I come and see your house? Like the answer is never. Like it's, oh, God, I don't want you to come and see my house. When you just tee it up that like you're coming, right? What's better for you? Thursday at 5 or Saturday at 10. And by the way, that's strategic and intentional as well. It's a weekday evening and a weekend morning. So usually what happens is people say, yeah, that's great. And by the way, what I usually say to people is like, I work at your pace and your speed. No pressure, just results. And, whether it's 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years, like I'm not going anywhere. Right. And hey, everybody listening to this, like you need business. 5 years ago or like 5 months from now, like you need business in 6 months. Like you don't have business right now for yourself in 6 months. That's that up and down pipeline you're in. So people tend to really love that. And again, your whole idea is to get an appointment. And I say to Kathy, I'm not coming to list your house. I know I heard you say you're looking to sell in 6 months, and we can talk about a game plan for selling in 6 months or selling in 8 months or selling sooner if your plans change. But right now, if I come over, here's the deal, Brian, 82% of the sellers who interview agents will choose the first one 82% of the time. So it's in your best interest to go there and get in front of them and sit at the kitchen table. By the way, you walk literally through their closets, their bathrooms. They're taking you, it's very personal. By the time you get to the kitchen, right? And the dog that doesn't like anybody loves you. You know what I'm talking about, right? Remember the dog? And they're like, oh, that's crazy. Buster doesn't like anybody. He sure loves you. Yeah, the dog loves me. Everybody, list your house with me, right? We're like, you're cementing the relationship by going there and having a conversation. And oh, by the way, Kathy, when I come, I'm going to go through the Homebuyer guide with you as well. We'll do both. We'll actually talk about where you want to move. We talk about financing options, talk about the buying process, as well as you can give me a tour. And that's how this, value added script will get you an appointment with even the worst, like people who don't want to sign in, because it's all about adding value, period, in the story for me. So that's what works right there. Right. And weaving into this, having that Homebuyer guide is really a prop to get listing appointments. And, people want information. And when you give them educational marketing or educational value of information, wherever they are, starting now, ready to list, or waiting for 6 months to 12 months, whatever, they will start to say, wow, this person's great. I want to work with you. So that's been extremely easy to get that tie down appointment. Most agents don't do that, unfortunately, and that person walks out of their open house. So to me, that's like the easiest thing. And the last thing I'll say about getting an appointment right then and there is, why not book an appointment for that afternoon? Like when you do a switch sheet, I call it a switch sheet, where, you know what, I know this house isn't working for you, or you've indicated that you want something different, whatever. I have 12 other houses on my laptop right now that I can show you. Okay, now I'm assuming they're the only people in the house at this point, and I'm showing this one buyer the laptop of other houses. But the switch sheet is to switch it up and start talking about other homes that you have, the inventory that you can show them. And I refer to it as your inventory, because you should say, I have other homes I can show you. In fact, I have a couple of them on my screen right now. Are you available at 4:15? I'm done here at 4, and at 4:15 I can show you 3 of the 10 because I know they're vacant and we can get it in them this afternoon. Do you know how many people have like picked up a client, shown them houses that afternoon, and wrote an offer that day or the next day? It's actually not that hard. Book the appointment while you're standing there. So back to your first question of like, what's the goal? The goal is to convert the lead while you're actually holding the open house, in my opinion. So that's my strategy in a nutshell. That's the
I love it.
strategy in a nutshell.
So smart. And yeah, I think we put the constraints on ourselves to say, oh, the appointment's got to be sometime in the future. You talk to any Zillow Flex lead team, and what you're going to hear is that a large portion of those leads want to meet within about 2 hours. right?
right.
They're in the mode, and if you put them off, guess what they're going to likely do? It's for, well,
Yeah.
oh, kids, this came up, somebody ran into my fence.
Exactly.
Literally, something is going to come up that you didn't expect, that they didn't expect. So if you've got them in the mode, why put that off? I love that. Thank you.
Ah,
All right. Sherri, I know you've got coaching programs around open houses and database and others. How can people get a hold of you?
this one is the strategy that I created called the Gold Mine Pipeline. Download is available. This is a free download for the system that will double or triple your income. It's obviously better if you're coached on it, but you could definitely get this strategy. There's an ebook with it. This is one way to get in touch with me. The other is, I believe I have this right here, this contact me QR code, and you can text me at my cell. You can send a message to Sherri at sherrijohnson.com. I'm in the EXP system as sherri.johnson@exp.com. And I'm also available at sherrijohnson.com on our website, Instagram, Sherri Johnson, and of course, Facebook and LinkedIn. I believe that the other quick way, if you want to put this in there, if you don't, that's fine. But we have a 20-minute free strategy call that we give to everybody right on our website, and agents can book a call with me. And if you write in the notes that you would like it to be with Sherri Johnson, please do that. And that will ensure that it doesn't go to someone on my team and it instead goes to me. And typically my team is really good at seeing that. So you can book a call here. It's completely free. It's completely whatever you want to talk about, what's working in your business, what's not working. There's nothing about our coaching unless you want to talk about that. But what I'd love to give you is, the playbook of like, here's the gold mine pipeline. Here's the make 50 grand at your next open house, among other things. And if you do the pipeline, a lot of people will start the pipeline, Brian, and then book this call and then bring the pipeline to the call ready to talk about it. So we could do that. We can talk about anything you want, but this call is available anytime. And again, mention that you want to be with me, or you can just text me directly and say, hey, I just watched your open house strategies on EXP University, and I'll text you back and we'll set up a time. But they can reach me that way if they're interested in coaching. We have special pricing for EXP agents, and we'd love to have you in our coaching program as well. But I'm just so excited. Listen, open houses are the GOAT. Remember that. It's just one phenomenal lead source that I think is underrated. And I think it's making a comeback. And I'm here to tell you that for 30 years now, 29 years, I've not seen anyone fail at this. It's really fantastic. And you can make 100 grand at an open house with a $200,000 listing. You can make, 200 grand at a $500,000 listing. So how I can help you with open houses or just anything in your business, I'd be happy to do. So let me know how I can help. And what else? If you need any other strategies, we also have like how to maximize traffic. So that's a PDF document I'll send you, Brian, and you can add that to your curriculum.
Would love that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, Sherri, as always, thank you for doing this. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. My pleasure. And I look forward to, the success really is contagious. It just takes one to get people to be like, that was amazing. And what ends up happening is, you're going to add up the volume. And the goal here is you have to stop looking at the lead as a bad lead. And I think that starts with being, saying every lead is a good lead, even if they're going to buy in 6 months. That's a really good lead. And you should stay with it because frankly, you need business 6 months from now, agent, right? You have this roller coaster ride of starting and stopping. Stop thinking the leads are not good if they don't want to buy right now, please.